How's it going, everyone, and welcome back to the Enclave. So, you would have seen in the thumbnail and title that today we are going to be doing a review of the wet tumbler that I use to process all my brass. Obviously, this is not one of the firearm industry, standard models, as you will see. I found the price of those sort of ridiculous. And then what upset me is I found a few local companies that obviously don't have the costs of import duties, shipping fees, foreign currency costs like paying in dollars for things, etc. And yet still found the need to sell their products at pretty much international prices. So I just looked for the cheapest short-term alternative, and I'll be honest, so far it's done over 10,000 rounds and I've had no issues with it. Honestly, I'm currently looking at getting some more parts for it. Like, you can buy replacement drums, you can buy the machine on its own, you could pretty much buy the entire set as individual components. So I'm potentially looking at getting another machine with a drum and then another drum. And yeah, with that, I think I will be able to keep up with pretty much any gun related or gun advertised product for still like a third of the cost of many of the other leading industry products. So yeah, I'm always trying to do things as cheaply as possible, but I also understand there are certain things you pay for good reason, as I've said in some of my previous videos, looking at different price gifts and things like that. When something is worth 10 grand, it's worth 10 grand. I can understand that. But when something is a 50 rand AC motor in 50 rands worth of metal with a 30 rand bottle on top of it, I was genuinely considering just building one myself. And if you are so inclined, genuinely, a couple of wheels, a very cheap motor, a little bit of metal if you so choose for a body, you could really build one of these things yourself. But anyways, let's just get into the review and I will let you know more details from there. Okay, and there we have it. So, this is pretty much everything that is going to come in your kit. I did mention in the beginning, I paid 1,600 approximately for this whole unit. The alternate sort of gun industry brands that I mentioned can go anywhere from 5,000 up to close to 10,000. I've seen some people doing some crazy markups on the Platinum. I forget what brand that was. The Frankfurt Arsenal Platinum. I've seen that thing going for nigh on 10,000 rand. For literally a 7-liter drum on some wheels. And the only reason I say that it's so simple is because before purchasing this, I actually watched, I would say, 5 or 6 YouTube videos of people making tumblers for brass, and it is ridiculously simple. Like, this thing has 100 features that you never need. But anyway, let's get into it. I like this one, so let me tell you about this, and then we'll get into what I would do differently if I would do anything differently, I suppose. So, what you're going to get, the base. This is the RTO4 unit. There are a bunch of different codes for the different sizes, but I'm going to be blunt, I think they're all pretty much the same thing. Anyways, you will then receive a spare gasket for the lid and a spare drive bolt for the actual machine. That is what drives the machine. So, looking at the actual container, very simple lid system. You basically just pop this off, you remove the rod, and then the lid just pops right off. I do have some water in here for demonstration, so I'm going to attempt to not pour that all over my desk. But very simple, haven't had any leaks with it whatsoever. And even though it looks kind of small, I easily run 300 pieces of 9mm in here, or I would say about 100 308. So the shotgun holes, I haven't actually done a batch of pure shotgun holes yet. I chuck them in with other things. But I mean, I would say easily, okay, maybe not that many shotgun holes. But yeah, definitely plenty 308, like I say, about 100 at a time. And then the 9mm about 300 at a time. So that is also just to give the water and things space to move, you know. You could probably cram 500 and 150 of respectively, but I wouldn't recommend it. You're not going to get the best cleaning performance from that. So if we just set this down here. So that is basically the entire setup. It is super simple. Yeah, like I said, $1,600 versus 5,000 plus. And like I said, it really was a short-term thing until I could build one. And I just decided by the time I got probably 5,000 rounds in, what is going to be better? I don't wash 1,000 rounds of brass at a time. And if I do, my drying system has limitations. So either way, I'm still processing, I would say, 2,000 rounds in a session without it feeling like a chore. While things are drying, you have another batch washing, and while that's happening, you're sitting watching TV or reloading other casings and things that you've already cleaned. So, like I say, I wouldn't mind getting another unit so that I can run double the quantity, or I can sort of offset them so that, yeah, basically there's always one running, if that makes sense. But yeah, so if we get into the operation, there is, like I say, a few features here, none of which are really that crucial. So on the left hand side, and these do seem to mostly be the same, you will have your timer control, and it is also your permanent on switch. So if you turn it to the right, you will basically have timed. So that will be whatever you set it to. I have checked, the 60 minutes is pretty much 60 minutes. So if you set it for 20, it'll be about 20. If you set it for 30, it'll be about 30. So coming back, you can basically go back to the off position there, which is where the off is, and then turn it all the way to the left, and that will just turn the machine on. Now basically the machine will just continue going until you basically switch it off. So now it'll just run forever. The switch you keep seeing me play with here, that is basically the rotation switch. So the way it was set initially, it would stop and then rotate the other way, and then stop and then rotate the other way. That is how I run it normally. I just wanted to demonstrate. So if we switch it there, you will see that at some point it will stop and then it will go back in the opposite direction. While we're waiting for that to happen, on this side you have your speed control. So this is going to have a pause and then an increase in speed. There's our pause, and it'll rotate the other way now. back down to a pause speed and then adjusted speed. This thing does go pretty fast, but that is unnecessary. At that point, what actually happens with brass is that the brass will actually stick to the outside walls and it'll just rotate around and around. It won't get agitated. So I actually keep this on speed, what is that? 1? Yeah, literally speed 1. At absolute most speed 2, but yeah, most of the time speed 1. And as I stated, I have the alternating rotation on. So that is pretty much the features, the operation, the capacity, the price. I will link below where I purchased it. And yeah, that's not an affiliate link or anything. It's just me showing you where I got this thing. The number one place that will come up when you search for this is the Reliable store. Please guys, I don't know, unless you use them all the time and you're a fan of the Reliable store, you can go look there. You'll see an Enclave ZA review that was quite horrible. So yeah, anyways, they are basically a scam company that gets away with still being open because they managed to deliver on like 1% of their orders. Anyways, so yeah, they will be the first place that comes up with this. I do not recommend getting it from them. I went to Cape Watch and Supplies or something like that. Like I said, I'll put the link below. And this is, I believe, the 3 kilogram unit. So that comes in different sizes. You get a 3 kilogram, a 2 kilogram, and then a 1, I believe. Or it might be sort of intermediate. It might be like 1.5, 2.5, 3.5. Not 100% sure on the sizes, but I do know that this is a 3 or a 3.5. So yeah, that doesn't really mean much. What means something is 300 rounds a 9mm, 100 plus minus rounds a 308. That is sort of what you can expect. And then probably I would say 20 shotgun hulls. Those are pretty much the 3 common calibers that I have used. And then obviously people can compare. If you got a 223, you could probably do a couple more than 308. Not too many more. I mean, 308 is not that much bigger than 223, but yeah, basically that is what you're looking at. I do recommend it, honestly, especially if you're not sure about reloading. Like, I can always go tomorrow and buy a big one of the 7-liter ones that costs 7,000 rand. I could go do that tomorrow. It's not even an issue of money at this point. When I bought it, yeah, I was buying a bunch of other reloading stuff. I spent the better part of 50,000 rand on reloading equipment. I wasn't looking to make it 60 because of my more expensive wet tumbler, and then 80 because I bought a Dillon instead of a Lee. And yeah, you know, it's one of those things. Getting into guns is extremely expensive. Getting into reloading is just as expensive. And everything that has a reloading tag on it will cost you 10 times more. Or in this case, 5 or 6 times more. So honestly, unless you are shooting 1,000 rounds a weekend, this is good enough for you. Honestly. If you're shooting 1,000 rounds a weekend, maybe this is a bit small. Maybe. But like I say, I reload upwards of 1,000 rounds with this and have no issues with it whatsoever. I have not thought to myself once, oh, you know, this could have been done so much quicker. So, yeah, you know, I truly do think if you get it to start, you're not going to be disappointed. And like I say, you can always upgrade. If you decide a few years down the line, you're going to get a crazy reloading setup that's 100 grand, for sure. Absolutely. Go spend 8-9 grand or 7 grand on a wet tumbling. Then at that point, go get a dry tumbler as well to polish your brass afterwards. Because you might as well go the full 9 yards, you know? So, yeah, I truly feel like for a beginner and even people loading an intermediate amount of rounds, this wet tumbler is honestly going to do the job just fine. We will be getting into some testing. I want to show you guys some things. I want to test some things for you guys because I've seen a lot of recipes and things online. And so far, my best recipe is the cheapest soap that I could find at Macro, I think it was. And it works incredibly. But it might be something about the brand, so I will share all of that. We are going to be getting videos of this out ASAP. And yeah, as always, I hope you enjoyed. I hope I've perhaps shed some light on this product, showing you whether it's something you might be considering or not considering. Yeah, I definitely, like I say, I recommend it for beginners. And I feel like even at the level that I'm shooting and reloading, this thing has not yet been a limitation to me. So just take that into account when you're having a look, when you're seeing prices and things. Don't think this is not going to get the job done. Let's just put it that way. If you're not buying this because you think it's not going to do what you want it to do, I can tell you it will. So yeah, with all that being said, I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have more time, please check out another video here on the side. As always, like, comment, share, subscribe, all that wonderful things. And as always, peace out.